Well, everybody's heard about the bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird.
Grown men watch this shit?
A podcast about indie wrestling.
Bird is a winner, well, a bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to... I was going to try to steal someone else's intro gimmick, but I didn't have that planned. But welcome to the show that is...
Grown men watch this shit? Now, Chris, what intro were you going to steal, friend?
I actually hadn't planned that far ahead. I just remembered our gimmick from last time, stealing Jericho's, and I was trying to go with something off the top of my head, but it just didn't work.
I thought the gimmick was that you were trying to think of one then and just couldn't, not that you were trying to follow up on something else. So, either way, let's do, hang on. What's going on? What the fuckers? What the fuck buddies? What the fuckaroonies? That's Mark Maron. So we'll steal that one.
Excellent. All right, we've got this gimmick continuing now. Tick. All right. And on that note, in addition to our beautiful selves that you in theory know from prior episodes, we have a third man in the booth, the third of the three amigos, in actual fact. Welcome back to the show, our roving Mexican reporter who may actually not be Mexican, but occasionally goes to Mexican shows, John Kraft.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Last time we saw you was in New York, right?
Yeah, New York City. We recorded at Hooters.
Literally the other side of the country, the other side of the world for Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's been too long, John.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And
it's been good. Lots has gone down.
Mm-hmm. And in theory, you've gone to another one of those wrestling shows, I believe.
Yeah, I do spend all of my credit card travel points on wrestling shows. So just another one in the books. Another great trip to Las Vegas.
Lovely,
pretty mild
beautiful
trip,
Las Vegas. Hey, speaking of your working that out with your credit card points, I just did my tax recently, which is really fun. But I just quietly hope that the tax man isn't listening to this, because that may get me in trouble. But I worked out I was able to
if
actually...
the tax man is listening, I've never designed a T-shirt for anyone ever in my life.
But I worked out every one of my wrestling trips for the financial year of 2018 to... Fuck, I can't even remember. This shit confuses me, man. But whenever it was, I got like 4...
You can write that shit off?
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I do
we
because...
should create a Grown Men Watch This Shit LLC and write it all off.
Well, I write mine off as a graphic designer, because you see all of these trips graphic design and marketing related, and all of the art galleries and such that I go to, so...
Well, I should create an LLC and write mine off, yeah.
Yeah, I like, actually, I think I got like 30 grand worth of deductions from wrestling shows, mostly. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, how much money do you end up getting back in the long run?
Well,
or, I mean, if you wanted to, you don't mind giving up the Iggy, you know?
No. I mean, I don't enjoy paying tax at the best of times, so I just had like my, as a freelancer, as you would, an independent whatever. I just sort of pay whatever the government sort of thinks I'm gonna pay. I like pay it in advance on a quarterly basis. So normally I'm used to having this tax time, and then they're being like, all right, give us another fucking $6,000 or another $3,000 on top of that. Like, it's fucked. But this time, got it back. They gave me $2,500.
Good golly.
Yeah, so more people should
trips.
Go on wrestling trips and somehow make them work related, and bada bing bada boom. There you go.
That's right,
Before
ladies and gentlemen.
we carry on,
podcast.
go ahead,
we
John.
also tax advice.
Yeah, the best, the worst tax advice. Hey, before we started the show, I actually, due to my negligence in watching a lot of wrestling in preparation for the podcast. I had neglected to order food, so I ordered some food. So at some point during this podcast,
You gonna have a
either A,
run-in?
I will let you know that I am leaving to go get this food, or I will go silent for a period, and you might ask me a question. I just won't be there. So in roughly 12 minutes time, I will have fried seafood arriving at my domicile,
Ooh.
and I will have to run to get it.
Dang, that
So,
sounds nice.
yeah.
Well,
Just giving
please,
you a little heads up.
please treat it
Nobody
exactly
likes
like.
cold fried shrimp.
I was going to say, please treat it exactly like when I have a pee break, and then John and I will keep ourselves entertained while you.
And just
excuse
set
yourself.
things on the wall.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so Jonathan, let's start. Before I don't want to rudely interrupt you later for my food, but first off, when did you get into beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada?
Friday morning, and I left Monday night.
Mm.
So quick pop
Chris,
in
we
and
have
out.
a holiday here called Memorial Day weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's a nice long weekend here that we do in the United States. And I was off work that Monday. I took the Friday off, just take one day off, and made a little thing out of it. So I was able to catch a couple shows.
John is familiar with little things. If you don't find,
That's what she said.
I got him. So what did you first do when
You
you
guys
got
are
into
still
town?
trying to get sponsored by Blue Chew, right? Speaking of that,
Yeah. We're continuing our
Blue
Blue
Chew.
Chew gimmick from last week episode.
I have some Mexican Viagra too. We could see if they want to sponsor.
Excellent.
What's funny is when we were hanging out in New York, John's like, I got a Mexican Viagra if you want one. And I'm like, I was considering it, and I'm like, Alicia, should I grab one? She's like, you don't need that. And I'm like, it was both simultaneously like awesome, but at the same time like, but if I had it, just imagine.
Oh, you don't tell her. I mean, so the first time I did it,
Oh, she
I
would
grabbed
know. She would know.
all of a sudden everything's working like it should, right? Yeah, the first time I grabbed a box for a friend. He just gave me some cash, and then he got laid off from his job and moved to South Dakota, moved back in with his rents. So I had this box, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I figured I'd try one.
Pills for cocks.
And I did not tell my my woman that I was taking it until after, when she was like, "What the fuck was that?" And I told her, and she said, "Wow, I'm really glad you didn't tell me beforehand, but since you tell me after, yeah, I mean, whatever, take it."
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Like, well, yeah, it'd be fun. It's not that I'm not good and bad. What I'm saying is, I'm sure that when you do Viagra, as you've said, it's definitely quite a different experience for your lady friend who's experienced with you. I've been dating for a year. All of a sudden, I come in like a jackhammer. She's like, "What the heck's going on over here?"
Yeah, I mean, I don't need it necessarily. It's just
Oh, no one needs it.
it's just impressive. Plus, I mean, let's face it, I'm 31 now. Like, what if we want to have some long, crazy date night, with 3 or 4 rounds? I mean, I'm not 21 anymore.
But for performance-enhancing drugs, sometimes when you go on the field, you got to have a little bit of extra ammunition. Right, Chris?
Sometimes it's good to just know that, you got that in the back of your mind. It's just a little bit extra confidence. You may not actually need it, but it's good to know that it's there,
Well, yeah, if you're taking a Viagra pill, you're good. It's good to know that it's in my system, just in case I want to fuck.
This show is sponsored by Mexican Sildenafil.
That'd be the
boners.
sponsorship I'd want, the Mexican rip-off
shit,
brand.
not Blue Chew. Blue Chew comes in like, no, we're trying to go for that generic Mexican shit. I'm sorry, bro.
But no, so specifically, after we were talking about this last time, I was thinking, and I was like, wait, so what is the added benefit? Like, so after you've done your business, like in theory, that's keeping
you go longer. You like wear her out.
So
She's
it
like,
just
"What
gives
the
you
hell?"
more than one round. So after you
Extend your stamina, so to speak. What it does is it's kind of like the workout supplement NO2.
Wait, so it's improving your cardiovascular performance as well?
Well, so what it does is it increases the size of it dilates your blood vessels.
Your
which
schwans, brah.
Yeah. So for example, if you take the NO2 workout supplement, you get a bigger pump in your muscles because it expands your blood vessels.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing happens in your dick. So it encourages an erection. It does not make it last longer, but if you ever remember your teenage days where you'd finish and it would just still not go down. I mean, it's kind of like that.
Virility.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
all
you're
right.
in theory going to get 2 or 3 goes out of this as opposed to just the one. That's kind of the long game we're talking here.
Well, it depends. If you're lazy still, you might only be able to get that one in there. And your dick's just standing up like everyone's awkward. Like, well, you still got an erection and we're just kind of hanging out now.
So I mean, is this
Yeah.
good for like generally like fast finishes? Like this will kind of extend them out,
No.
or if you're still a fast finisher,
No.
you're just gonna get like
The only way to be a fast finisher is if you finish and you play it cool and just say, "Hey, I still have the same boner. Let's just keep going."
Yeah, don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
stuff.
So on the
You
odd
try to
chance that,
Houdini your jizz like
lady
into your
listening-
hand and throw it over your shoulder. Like, no.
didn't even happen.
You're like, "Oh, man, kind of broke. We just swap
What's
these out
about
real
the
quick."
wall?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a
Now,
minute.
on the odd chance that there is even a single lady listening to this, I have my own.
Courtney's definitely listening. There's
Not
only
you,
one.
Courtney.
This
Yeah,
is my
yeah, I
favorite
can't wait to
preamble
see
so
your face.
far.
My God, did you guys go to the boner talk? I didn't care for it all.
Yeah, these Facebook comments would be insane.
All right, let's move on to wrestling. So,
Minute 7, still talking about their
when
dicks.
you got into
So we're definitely
in-
finished talking
Vegas.
about boners. Just
No,
being
boner
clear.
talk is done. No
All
more
right.
dick talk.
all right. Just want to
Might
make
be
sure
too late. Well,
we put a tent post in this podcast at 11
Well,
minutes and a half. We're no longer talking about hard dicks and dick pills.
we'll send that bit to Blue Chew for the sponsorship. That will carry on. So, did you actually, outside of, well, clearly Double or Nothing is something we all enjoyed and you enjoyed in person. Did you do anything when you first got into town non-wrestling related, or was it immediately like StarCast and all that bullshit?
Actually, I did not make it to StarCast the entire time.
Ooh.
I had some different friends in Vegas I wanted to see, and I wanted to catch StarCast, but as far as what I heard, everything cool. You had to pay, get a wristband, and
That's
I
generally
started
the way
a new
these
job.
things work. They want money for providing
But also,
entertainment
some people who
services.
have wristbands, sometimes I heard that some people got like turned away, like they weren't accepting wristbands at some points because shit got fucked up. So even sometimes people with wristbands didn't get into the building.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to check it out, and I was thinking about it. I'll tell you the cool thing that started my trip, but it is wrestling related. I get to the airport kind of early. I think I was flying out at, I don't know, 9:30 or 9:45 or so. Flight gets delayed an hour. I'm walking around. I notice there's probably 8 or 10 different people in wrestling shirts. Talking to a couple guys. They live in Denver, whatever. Then I walk down, hit the restroom, and as I'm walking back, I see this other guy with what I thought was a Wrestling Revolver shirt. And I just sit down next to him, kind of waiting to board, and I say, "Hey, you going for the?" Said, "You going for the wrestling shows too?" And he goes, "Kind of." And I think we all know what that means. It might be a wrestler. So I'm like looking at him, and I'm like, I don't recognize this guy. There's no shows that were in town this week, and I don't recognize him from the locals. And I don't know why I didn't recognize him, because I actually started talking to him, and I mentioned the Lucha Libre Laugh show, and he says, "Oh yeah, I was supposed to work that last year, but my flight got canceled." And then I remembered who that person might have been, and I asked him to repeat his name because I just didn't catch it the first time, and it was Matt Cross. And,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
Son
like,
of Havoc himself.
yeah, and I was like, "Oh man, sorry, I just like didn't recognize you because I had no idea. What are you doing in Denver?" I was like, "I didn't hear you." He's like, "Oh, we just got a layover." But he had mentioned that first off, he wanted me to apologize to Nick up and down and let him know he's not a prick, and that his flight did get canceled, and he was really worried that Nick might have thought that he got booked for something better or something, and he was just a really nice guy. I did realize, and just a quick plug for him, that it did not say Wrestling Revolver on the shirt. It said Wrestling Forever, which is his
That's
brand.
his gimmick, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's his brand, and that was a new shirt. And I'm pretty sure the picture he posted a picture that morning on his website or on his Twitter advertising that shirt, and I'm pretty sure it was taken at the Denver airport.
You're
So
Well,
I met
Yeah.
this hipster goofball. I'm not sure who he is. Oh shit, Matt Cross legend. All right, cool.
yeah, sure. And I kind of just kind of laughed when he said it. I was like, "Oh man, I'm sorry, I've never seen you up close or anything, and half the time I've seen you had a mask on." So nice talk.
I
Really
never seen
nice.
you up close just from outside your window.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. That's exactly what I said. He loved it.
Let's get it.
Yeah, but he said he was flying in because he was talking to his buddy about the suburban fight and not knowing exactly who was on the card. So I mentioned the couple matches that I'd heard, and I said, and somebody's wrestling Chris Bay. And he's like, yeah, I'm wrestling Chris Bay. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So we're starting to talk a while, and we're actually having, I mean, lots of good conversation just about, anything and everything, a lot of it being wrestling, but, just kind of shooting the shit, really. Nothing, I'm not like asking about his career or anything. And then, so we take the flight. Then after I get off the flight, he and I both exit the airplane around the same time. His buddy's gone, and we're both trying to navigate to, the bag check or baggage claim. And then we, end up basically taking a tour of the restroom and then trying to find the Uber pickup together. So he and I walked around for probably about 30 minutes, just kind of, talking and whatever. And, he said if I made it out to Starcast or Suburban Fights, make sure to say hi and everything like that. So really, really nice guy. Extremely nice guy.
I've heard that from
very
multiple
happy.
sources. MDog20,
Yeah,
great guy.
yeah. What was that?
MDog20 is just a great guy. I've heard this from quite pretty much
Yeah.
everyone that
No,
ever meets him.
Yeah, he was super nice. I mean, like I said, we were just having everyday normal conversation, but I didn't figure he wanted to keep it going past 5 minutes or anything. And as we realized we kept going the same places, he was like, "Well, hey, we're gonna find all these places together, man. Like, let's just keep walking around." And so yeah, that was just the first nice way to really kick it off. Is I wouldn't even expect him to, see a wrestler flying out of Denver or anything. But actually, one of the guys that got his big break from Lucha Libre and Laughs and another Denver wrestling company, he's now working at Championship Wrestling in Hollywood. Jeremy, you might know him because I think he's done some Defy work as well. It's Royce Isaac.
Oh,
And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's a great guy too, man. He was at he wrestled at that Blackcraft show after spring break, and I was trying to meet up with him. We didn't get a chance.
African American craft. African American craft.
African American craft. Yeah, so Royce was on the show, and we were talking. He knows Royce too, and everything like that. And yeah, so that was just the first thing that happened. I ended up going to my hotel, just kind of relaxing and getting cleaned up for a while. And yeah, no, I said,
Just kidding.
yeah.
I wish
Yeah.
podcasts like you could just drop in audio and people didn't realize you said something and they keep talking.
Yeah, so I was jerking off, right?
Yeah, go on.
Mm-hmm.
Then after I finished, I ate some hot wings, did not wash. Yeah, so I mean it was a good way to start it. And then I got to town, and so Friday was I mostly hung around with some of the friends that I had in Vegas. So Friday was Fight Capital Pro, and as far as I was aware, the show started at 11. Turns out doors were at 11. But it was on Fremont Street, which if you guys have ever been to Vegas, it's kind of like where all the cheaper casinos are. I love Fremont, and it's kind of like old Vegas. So you can still find, $5 table minimums on the weekend, $30 rooms, things like that. So
Nice.
it's a really good place. Also, Matt had informed me that he was in town for Punk Rock Bowling, which is a punk rock festival that was 3 days, multiple bars.
Did it involve
like
bowling?
Rancid, the Vandals. Yeah, Punk Rock Bowling was the name of it.
So
But
did you,
I don't think
did
there
you
was any
bowl
bowling.
during the punk rock?
I don't know. I think it was just concerts. But it was also on Fremont too, because when I was trying to find the wrestling ring that was outside on Fremont, which was great. The venue was great. You're under the stars and there's all these crazy lights around, and you're not like cooped up inside. It was great weather. It was great. But when I was walking around, I had the idea with my friends, hey, let's just try to find some wrestling fans and follow them. Well, wrestling fans and punk rock fans look very, very, very similar. And it was just a big old clusterfuck in there. Yep, black shirts and studded jean denim vest jacket things and whatever. So it was really good. We get to the show, and first off, I want to give a shout out to all the PWG friends that we've all kind of made over the years. They showed up in force. I should have said we, because we're all in it by now. There are probably 60 of us. And most of them came from LA, but a lot of people, kind of come from, just different places all over. Saw the very first friend I ever made at PWG, Ali, was the first person I met up with, and everybody else just started trickling in. I saw Hollywood Josh. I saw Big Josh. I saw Norm. I mean, I saw everybody. Everybody was there. And what was really, really funny, so this ticket was $25 for a general admission seat, unless you paid $45 for a front row. Well, we get there, all the chairs are out. I just set like my stuff down at a second, or like a drink down at the second row seat. And then they start bringing out all these kind of sleazy velvet Vegas couches, and those are going to be the new front row. So we all just shift up a row, and it's like an open bar, so we've got like 2 hours before the show starts, and we're all just kind of hanging out and like we're like sitting on the ring and doing different things like that, and you could tell that all these people that were just showing up with a couple people, whatever, we're getting kind of irritated as like who the hell are these guys? And different people would like sit in my seat, and I'd be like, hey man, that's my seat, and they'd be like, well, I don't see you in it. And 60 people would just stop what they were doing and stare at this guy until he got up. Nice. So it was really kind of cool. Or like one person would kind of near the front of the drink line, and they'd been in line for drinks for like 30 minutes, and then like 15 of us would just roll over and stand by him. And you could tell that like everybody hated us because nobody knew who we were. All I knew is we were like 60 or 80 people deep at a wrestling show. Nobody wanted to fuck with us. So that was kind of cool.
A gang. You're telling me you basically had a wrestling gang.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a traveling wrestling gang. Yeah.
It was MDK.
Murder, death, killing.
Yeah. Did you do much of the murder, death, killing?
The M in this one sounds for marking.
I mean, we all just kind of like hung out and caught up and everything, and after the show was over, we all took the group picture that we always do. But it was great. And now I could not find these results posted anywhere, so I'll kind of tell you how this went down.
So we're just going from your fuzzy recollections. Is that right?
Actually, I was very sober all weekend. I've really tried to I've tried to pull a Jeremy and cut back on drinking. I haven't drank in like 25 days.
And
I'm the opposite.
Drinking.
I've
I'm 3 beers deep.
I was gonna say I've been picking this up for the both of you. I drank a lot last night.
I've decided not to drink during the week, but during.
If you quit drinking, I start drinking. If I quit drinking, you start. I mean, there's alcohol has to be consumed in the world.
It's basically a baton
alcohol
race.
is a great thing.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Here's the thing: I don't drink as frequently as I did before. I do drink on the weekends, but during the week I don't drink, except for I like to drink on a podcast night because it helps me, loosen up a little bit. The anxiety fades away, and we just have a good old
lubricates the cockles.
You got it, buddy.
Yeah. Zing.
But anyway, carry on, Jonathan. Everyone hates you guys.
Yeah, I mean, and the people that started sitting around us, like, they all kind of realized we knew each other, and these was a girl and guy from England. They were just in town of Vegas, and the guy had watched wrestling way back in the day and just kind of heard that there was a show. The girl had never watched anything, and I was like constantly, like wiggling back through to go to my seat and like getting back up and everything like that. So after a while, I just said, "Hey, you're sitting by us. Like, what's your name?" And then they started talking and kind of got their background, and they were like, "Who are you guys? Like, who's this massive group of people?" So we basically just like kind of brought them into the crew, and they're nice people. They didn't know what they were watching. Now before the show, just like kind of what the card was, it was a tag team tournament with 4 teams, and then
So what's the group to start with? Like, because I saw this show announced and I didn't really know that. Is it like an ongoing kind of a fed that's based in Vegas, or is this more of a one-off type of show?
So, I think they've only had 1 or 2 shows. I heard a rumor that it was Teddy Hart's promotion, but I have not found anything to back that up. Plus, I met who I thought was the promoter. He just seemed like, I mean, I hope he doesn't listen, but he seemed like kind of a dipshit. And what I did see was, so the Samoan Dynasty was there. And the Samoan Dynasty, like, I mean, the whole family was there. They were like grabbing this guy by his collar, like before the show by the merch table. And they were arguing about what I assumed was how much they were getting paid. And from what I heard from one of the PWG guys, they didn't want to go on. and one of the guys had to grease the wheels a little bit and give them some extra money just so they'd kind of like chill out and put on a good show. Now, all I know is that, I mean, this dude looked like he's about to get his ass kicked. So that was going on. Nobody could really just figure out what the hell was going on. Like, all we saw was that they were like screaming at each other, and this guy was looking terrified, and Fatu got in his face, and it was just not great. So,
well, to be fair, from a wrestling perspective, if this promoter, in theory, hasn't done, is in his first handful of shows, and perhaps, as you said, is a bit of a dipshit, there can be certain things that a green promoter does that pisses off talent. I mean, I remember from my wrestling days, it was one wrestling promoter actually had to grab by the scruff of his neck and drag to an ATM and hold him against the ATM till he got out my payday. In theory, I may have robbed him on that night, but to me, I felt justified.
My good friend Chris robbing a guy.
Yeah. No, I fucking hate wrestling promoters. I think it was after the show, so I probably still had like eyeliner and shit on. Still had.
Oh.
Yeah.
The picture when you see, have you seen the picture of Chris and his gimmick, John?
From back in the day on his face, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, wow, that's that same guy. Can't believe it.
Wow, it looks a lot scarier.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
Anyway, continue.
So I'm trying to remember exactly who was all going to be on the card, but it was basically there were going to be 4 tag team matches, and then the final round was going to be a 4-way elimination. There was Heart Foundation. There was, I think it was Chris Bay and Human Tornado, but I might be getting things mixed up.
Human Tornado was on this show?
Human Tornado was there, yeah.
Amazing. I love me some Human Tornado.
I really hope for your sake you didn't get anybody confused, because it could be a racial situation. That'd be embarrassing for you.
I just don't know if Chris Bay and Human Tornado were
didn't worry about it. I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah. The teams are kind of getting mixed up right now, but let's see. Marty the Moth, Nick Gage and Jimmy Lloyd were a team.
Oh yeah.
Evans teamed with, oh god, I forgot. But yeah, Jack Evans was there. It was a decent card, but
That's
from
great.
what we could tell before the show started, it was just going to be an absolute shit show.
Wait, was that the one with Cool Dad Chris Ross on it?
I don't think so. I might be.
He was tagging with Jimmy Lloyd on something.
No, Nick Gage tagged with Jimmy Lloyd.
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, which was kind of weird to see because normally they're like beating the ever living shit out of each other. So anyways, it opens up, and Joey Janela comes out. He gets in the ring. He's shit faced, and he's just like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. They asked me to get in the ring and fire you guys up. Drunk as shit. And then he's like, guess what, everybody? We got the D's Nuts guy here from the D's Nuts meme. And which, for anybody that doesn't know, it's a short, kind of underdeveloped, I'm 90% sure, mentally challenged little guy. And he had like a front row seat on the couch next to my friend. And so he's like, D's Nuts guy, get in the ring. And so he gets in the ring, and everybody starts chanting D's Nuts. And you can tell that he's like a Vegas personality by this point, kind of like that's all he has to go off of. And he's literally wearing a D'sNuts.com t-shirt. That's all it says. It's a black shirt with white writing. It says D'sNuts.com.
He's also got him.
Yeah.
That's his other thing.
Yeah.
Got him.
Well, he didn't say that this time. All he kept saying. So, Joey's like, he's just drunk, kind of rambling, just partying and like getting everybody fired up.
Joey, by the way.
He was great at it. He was great at it. Well, this guy is like, hey, and he starts like talking in his ear. And so we don't know what he's saying, but like 2 minutes later, you could tell that like Joey's like, why did I bring this guy in the ring? And he's like, I don't know what this guy's trying to tell me to do. I really can't understand him. So he puts the mic in his face and he's like, oh, I just want you to tell everybody to chant D's Nuts. And he's like, we've been doing that the whole time, man. So he's like, get out of the ring. Just get out of the ring. So he goes to the corner of the ring and he hasn't gotten out yet. And Joey runs at him like he's about to like just launch on him, and the guy like cowers, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm just fucking with you, man." So the guy gets
Get
out
the
of the ring
fuck
and
out
he
of the
sits
ring,
back down on
these
the couch.
nuts. What are you doing? We have a
You're
show to
telling me that
start.
Joey Janela picked on the disabled?
I wouldn't go that far. You could tell how scared he got. He was like, he apologized to him in front of everybody. Now before all this happened, before the show started, there were these two guys. I assume they're local workers. They were dressed like little gay cops, like think like a Lieutenant Dangle type of thing, with like short denim shorts and whatever. And they were walking around with super soakers full of tequila, and they were blasting people in the face, which was going all over the place. Because if you've ever shot a super soaker, it's not exactly like a perfect stream. It's kind of like when you pee after sex; it's going all over the place. So those guys get in the ring, and Joey takes a shot and everything like that. And, they're like
I
spraying.
thought we dropped the cock talk segment. The cock talk was over, John.
Oh man, well, you can never get enough cock on this show. So
Never.
it's so like, and there was like a band before. I mean, it was like a good little like variety show setup. And we all thought it was going to be really bad. And so, anyways, Joey gets out of the ring. The matches start. And it's these cops versus the Samoan Dynasty, and it's like just a quick squash, and then more matches and more matches. So Nick Gage and Jimmy Lloyd get beat by, I think it was the Jack Evans team, not quite sure. And so they get beat, and I'm like, whoa, like not what I was expecting. Well, Nick Gage starts beating the shit out of Jimmy Lloyd and goes, "We don't do this pussy ass tag team bullshit. Jimmy Lloyd, I want a death match with you tonight." And we're all like, whoa, what the fuck? It's great. Like,
Awesome.
fired up. Dude, we are all just like in arms. I mean, we were like jumping up and down. Like, nobody said we were getting a death match. Like, this is going to be great. And that ended up being the main event.
Yeah, I saw a thing on Twitter about this. It was like, it's like 3 a.m. and there's a death match going on. I think that was from Hollywood Josh, actually. And I was like, that sounds fucking amazing.
So this, like I said, we were really kind of writing the show off in our heads. And I will tell you, by the time it was all said and done, like it was like on par with Spring Break. I might have, and I don't know for sure, but I think I actually had more fun at that show than Double or Nothing. I think Double or Nothing was a better show, but like this show was just like, I mean, it's kind of like when you go to all the shows Mania week and the clusterfuck that is Spring Break is your favorite show all weekend, right? Like, it's not because
Like comparing that to like an actual legitimately amazing show like the Madison Square Garden show. You're like, that was a better show, but I had more fun at the clusterfuck.
Exactly. Yeah. And man, I mean, and a lot of us were saying that, like how is Double or Nothing going to follow this? Like, we all thought the show was going to be shit. Props to the Hart Foundation. So nobody was really wrestling too hard because, one, it was outside on the cement. There's a ring, but it was outside on cement. But you can also tell that like they kind of knew they didn't have to work hard. It was a party show, and all they had to do was be their characters and whatever. Well, Teddy Hart never shows
Teddy
up.
Don't fuck like that.
Right. So he does like a Canadian destroyer, and everybody freaks out. And then he hooks up some sort of like double Canadian destroyer where he like flips two people somehow.
Yeah,
and
I've seen that's his Road Warriors style one, right?
Yeah. That's
So
good.
good.
And then he gets on. He gets like, I forgot, like got on the turnbuckle or got on Davey Boy's like shoulders, but he did like an avalanche Canadian destroyer.
Yeah,
and he
that's
did
the
them
Road
all.
Warriors one I was thinking of. Doomsday style Canadian destroyer. It's one of the most insane things ever. Yeah, I remember Jeremy and I saw him do that at the MLW show, and I've seen it a few times since, and it's just such a nuts looking move. It's so rad.
And it was, I mean, like it was not this great rig.
Dude, I saw a crazy ass. Hang on, I want to interrupt real quick. I saw a crazy ass move just the other day. It was a Doomsday like lung blower, but to the chest. Like the guy jumped on the guy with his knees to his chest, and they rolled and ended up landing where the guy. It's hard to describe, but it's like the craziest shit I ever seen. And I honestly don't understand why the guy giving the move would want to take a back bump like that. But hey, whatever. Moves are getting fucking banana nuts.
You keep
and the Canadian
raising that up.
Doomsday Destroyer. What the hell?
I think Teddy's gonna win like move of the year for that one. Honestly, I don't think anyone's topping the Doomsday Canadian at this stage.
Yeah, there's no touching it.
Yeah,
It was great. I mean, and you could tell because there were a lot of people that like had. There were just people that just like showed up because they were in Vegas, you know.
Yeah.
And they were like, "What the fuck is this? What wrestling looks like these days?" Like the people sitting to my right, like, dude, I don't know who any of these people are, and like this is great. And one of my friends turns to that guy's girlfriend and goes, "You don't know how lucky you are that this is your first wrestling show. Like we've seen a lot of indie shows. Some of them are good, and a lot of them are bad. And this show we all thought was gonna be bad, and it is great. I mean, like, dude, we were just going nuts, and like those couches, you know, they were like flying off and like landing in people's laps on the couches. The D's Nuts guy kept getting up and trying to talk to the wrestlers during all the matches.
Got him.
And you could like they would be like smiling and kind of like playing it off and being like nobody kind of knew what Joey had experienced because they were in the back or whatever. So like he would come up and they'd be like, "Oh, it's the D's Nuts guy," and like he'd start talking to him, and then like you could see their face kind of click of like, "How do I get out of this conversation?" like trying to get out of the ring and like go to the back and everything like that. So I mean, dude, it was an awesome show, and I mean, and then the death match always good. It wasn't nearly as brutal as the night one spring break, but there were light tubes, there were Legos.
The amount of like death matches that you see that are to that level, like you can count on one hand. That was fucking a ridiculously insane standard.
Yeah. And also, I watching that back with Jimmy Lloyd. I talked about that spot where he grabbed his throat.
Yeah,
after
so
the
good.
scissor shit. But now I realize he legitimately was grabbing his throat because he thought he got stabbed in the throat. He wasn't selling. Like if you look at the look on his face, he's like, "Oh my god, I think the scissors punctured my jugular." Was the look on his face. Thank God it didn't actually happen, but. Yeah, initially I was like, well, that's a little bit much, but then I realized it was an actual human reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally pulled the scissors out of his neck. I mean, it was kind of like
didn't actually puncture him, but he thought that it actually had like stabbed him in. Like if you watch it back, like he like it pulls out of his throat. Then he looks at his hand and sees there's blood on his hand and like grabs back to his throat like immediately, like an immediate jerk reaction. Like the guy thought he got stabbed in the fucking throat.
Oh yeah, man. And you know, I talked to Jimmy Lloyd for a minute at in intermission, and I told him too. I was like, you know, I've only just barely begun to even like know who you are. And I'm like, I have seen. Well, I just like I was like really starting to get into like I'm just recently started getting GCW and stuff, and like you know that northeastern wrestling pocket, but you know, I'd seen a couple of your matches.
I like the idea that you're talking to Jimmy Lloyd and basically like, "Jimmy Lloyd, I don't know who the fuck you are."
But I appreciate your shit.
Right. Just a year ago, I didn't, and like I've just seen some really, really cool shit from you, and I'm really excited for this death match tonight, man. Like just like I saw at Spring Break, and that was the most insane thing I've ever seen. And dude, he was just beaming. He was like, "Yeah, man, like that's how I make my money. That's what people want to see." And he was like, "I'm so excited. Like I love wrestling. I love getting the shit beat out of me by Nick Gage." Is literally what he said.
Amazing.
And yeah, he's like, he's done so much for my career, and like I feel like I can take anything and make him look like $1 million. And I mean that's what he was telling me. It was just like who else can go in there and be truly murdered by Nick Gage and make him look as good as I do? And I was like, man, I don't think anybody. Like it was great.
I mean, Jimmy's great. Like he does the deathmatch stuff, but he can also actually work too. Like I've seen him have like just rad matches with like Teddy Hart and shit. Like just actual really awesome like non-deathmatch shit. Like he's versatile.
Yeah, it's really easy to underestimate him based on the look. Like you want to underestimate the guy and assume like, yeah, he's just a trash bag fucking deathmatch guy. But yeah, dude can fucking put a story in there.
I think that's what I really like about the GCW deathmatches is it's not violence with nothing else. Like they actually incorporate solid wrestling and solid deathmatch spots into it. And I think those death matches are very different than if you watch like old school CZW or something.
Unless you're watching like Marcus Crane, in which case you get exactly what you're expecting with deathmatch.
Yeah.
Marcus Crane and Schlack. I love it though.
Yeah. Well, don't get me wrong.
It was an awesome show. I mean, I think everybody was super surprised. They had this referee named Pizza Tie, aptly named because he was wearing a pepperoni pizza tie. And they'd be like, the referee calling action, your official is Pizza Tie. And so we would all just be fucking around with him and be like, fuck you, Pizza Tie, and like flip him off. And he would just be like smiling and laughing and flip us off back. And he'd just be kind of giggling.
John.
John has fallen underwater.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
You back?
Like all four teams just put all their finishers on Pizza Tie, and he laid down basically after all of his ref bump. He like laid it in the corner of the ring on his side for like move.
What are you
While everything
doing?
was- I mean,
Bobbing for apples, John?
can you not hear me?
You keep
You keep
sounding
going
like
in and out dramatically.
yeah, like you're going underwater or something.
Oh, that's what you meant when you said that. Okay, I just kind of laughed.
Just rolling with the punches. Just rolling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Pizza Tie ate shit and got beat up by everybody and just laid there fake unconscious for about 15 minutes. Teddy Hart cut obviously a $1 million promo on how much he loves the fans after. But the mic was bad and you couldn't hear any of it.
Did you hear him say
So-
God bless you?
Here,
I just
I just want to let you guys know that it's you guys right here that make this thing all worth it, man. We fucking love you guys. The guys in the back, man, they really respect you. You respect them. You know, we're all here for a common purpose, man. You know, we're all fans of wrestling, pro wrestling. It's the greatest. My Uncle Brett. Sorry.
He did say, and like, thank you to Young Bucks and thank you to Cody because we're all
Of course
here
he
for
did.
this, and this is our livelihood. This is how we earn our living. We bust our asses and we bleed for you and we sweat for you, and you guys traveling. You know,
I was about to get those
this gives
cliches.
us- no, you nailed the other 75% of it. Yeah,
Fucking amazing.
yeah. If I wasn't in the second row, I wouldn't have been able to hear what he was saying because the mic was all super staticky. But I mean, he was, you know, he caught $1 million promo, man, and that was great. So when it was all
Never
said,
get
and
sick
then
of the
all
Teddy Hart
wrestlers
promo.
going,
I could listen to that same promo like 100 times and I'll never get sick of it.
Oh, it's great. It's like yeah, everything you hear about the guy is that he's a piece of shit. But every interaction I've ever had with the guy, every match I've ever seen, and
You're
every
not an underage
is that-
girl.
makes me think that he's a great guy. And you know, and it's funny because you know he like remembers me by this point. He was like, "Hey, where's your girlfriend that wants to hold my cat?" And I was like, "Yeah, she's not here."
Yeah, I'm not touching
but
that
like-
cat no more.
All right, like
Zing!
Hey,
yeah. He was like, "Weren't you the guy that when I was drunk at the green room while at Mania, I kept asking you to find me weed, and I kept forgetting that you're not actually in Denver and you're in the same city I'm in, and we don't know anybody?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." He's like, "Did you ever find any weed that night?" And I was like, "No." "Do you have any weed tonight?" "No." She's like, "Oh, it's too bad, man. I would have smoked with you if you did." And I was like, "Okay."
yeah. The thing that I love that offer. Like, oh, bro, bummer. I
I would've
totally would have
smoked
got
your weed.
stoned on your weed. Oh, sorry, Ted.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But so
great.
I mean, great show. It got over at like 3 a.m. So kind of just went back and went to bed, and then slept in and pretty much woke up, got ready, went to In-N-Out Burger, and then went to All In or Double or Nothing.
Nice. And so you didn't do any of the around it stuff. Did you see sort of much of the goings on at StarCast? Like just the people all lining up and shit? I watched a video, I think the last episode of the Being the Elite, and they had a bit of a recap and they showed like the lines and shit. It looked bananas. It looked like just crazy big. I mean, I heard some of the stuff didn't quite go to plan. I feel honestly like bad more for Conrad because a lot of the cancellations were really out of his hand. But it still sounded
know
like
what
they made the best of it.
I mean, Ric Flair obviously had to cancel, but that's a health condition. I don't know what happened with Jericho, but I would like to think he had his reasons.
I'd like to think he just decided to not do it as heel shtick. Just like, you know what?
It was like,
Fuck
heel-
these
yeah.
fans.
I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, I mean, that's pretty fucking heel.
Yeah.
Fuck Jericho.
yeah, I mean, that's all I
I
can
hate
think
the
of.
shtick he's doing, man. I honestly, I like that he wants to play heel and like do this kayfabe thing, but it's too much. He's like going way over the top on something where we know you're a key player in this shit, dude. Like,
Yeah.
chillax.
No way, man. No, I love it. I think
Come
it's
on.
amazing. I think his gimmick of like, making the fans thank him. He's the one that's done all this work and like
No, I
bringing
like-
it
I like
back to
that
heel
part.
promos.
And
I
then
think
him
it's
trying
great.
to bury everybody else is, I don't know. Yeah.
I dig it. I dig
I do
this.
It's a little bit
the
scary,
few
but
people.
outside of that.
The few people that actually maintain kayfabe in this era where everyone are, bullshit on Twitter, like, revealing the business.
I would be more cool if he was doing a gimmick where he thought he was better than the company. Not that he's not worthy of being, like, he's playing off like he shouldn't even be part of the company. And that's just, well, if you don't think you should be part of the company, then get out of
I
it.
never got that vibe. I think it's more like he's the entire reason this company's having the success it has. He's the entire reason for their TV deal. He's the entire reason for the
He should amp that
sellouts.
part up more.
Well, that's what I've
Honestly,
heard
all
in
he
every
is
promo he's done.
He's attacking everybody. He doesn't need to attack everybody.
I
You know,
don't.
when I
Sorry, go
saw
on.
it, I thought it was just kind of like everybody is here for Kenny Omega, but they should be here for me, and they
Yeah.
were wrestling each other.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I saw it. Like, I'm the
Fuck
reason
you
this
both.
sold out.
I'm out of
not
here.
Kenny Omega.
Podcast over.
Jeremy's done.
Right.
I
Yeah, but there was this massive line to get in for Double or Nothing. I know one of my friends, we were gambling, and one of my friends went to go get in the line, and we were just going to meet up. And they walked, basically, they had to walk in line for 15 minutes just to find the back of the line. Like, it went through the pool, it went
Wow.
all the way through the casino, through the pool, and then like half a mile away. And then so when the doors opened, we were trying to walk to find them, and we just found a door that had just opened, and we walked in 5 minutes. So I mean, like, we didn't
the way
even
to
wait.
do it.
Like I mean, I was literally by the point where I found that I was searched by security 5 minutes later.
And you didn't miss any
So
of the
that was
pre-show?
good. No, I didn't miss any of it, and neither did my friend. I mean, we just kind of told them where to go, and they just met up with us.
Sweet.
Sat with my buddy Nick, the guy that runs Lucha Libre and Laughs. That was good. We had a good time. There was this annoying guy behind me, and I don't think it was the guy that's gotten blown up today on Twitter or yesterday, but there was this guy behind me.
Not the
kept
guy that
yelling
pooped his
that,
pants?
Huh?
Not the guy that pooped his pants? Did you hear
I
about
didn't know
that?
there was-
Admit it. John, shut up. Chris, go on.
So- no,
Yes.
it was a whole Reddit thing, like about these people that were like, we had the best time at the show, it was excellent, except for this guy that clearly shit himself and just sat in his seat the entire time, didn't go clean himself up, just like sat there the entire show. While everyone around him just so fucking grossed out, and like people would just like started leaving and like trying to go watch the show through other parts of the venue.
It was Duke McIntyre.
Oh.
You're gonna have to link me to that post.
Where the poop puns? Bring the poop puns, guys.
So John, I hope you consider yourself lucky with whatever fan issues you had nearby. At least you weren't putting up with pooped pants.
Yeah, the only thing I dealt with was there was a guy behind me that kept yelling during the Nyla Rose segment, "That's a dude! Get her out of the ring! That's a dude!" And like we all just kind of told him to shut up, and he did. It was not the guy that got banned by the Bucks from any future AEW shows. Which I don't know. Did you guys hear about that?
I saw one person on Twitter that was like making a dick of himself, being like, "I thought this show was for everybody. I call this chick a
the guy was
tranny,
like-
and then I get kicked, and then people tell me to leave. Like, fuck that." And he was just making a big dick
Yeah,
of
that's that
himself.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that guy. This guy actually, as soon as I said that, as soon as we were all just like, "Yo, just that's not like we all know Nyla Rose is trans. Like, you're not contributing anything. Just shut up." He did. When he realized that everybody around him felt that way, he was like, "Oh, okay, I was just trying to be funny." And we were like, "Yeah, it's not funny." He's like, "Okay, I'm sorry." And then he was good company.
is
Like
good.
That's a
Because honestly-
fantastic resolution. That's like the best
Yeah.
way that possibly could have gone. I'm really
Yeah,
proud of you.
I mean, like somebody said it to him, and he was like, "Oh, come on, bro." And then like we all just kind of like we're just like, "No, just stop." Like we weren't like yelling or anything. It was just like that's just not even funny, man. Like I'm totally cool if you want to yell "Kenny" during the Kenny match. Like that's fine, but like like the whole point is she's the first major like signing of like a trans person, and if you're trans in a technical sense, you're now a she by all senses except for like just the way you were born, right? So like that's the way you identify, and that's the bathroom you can use now except for in North Carolina, and everything like that.
He
So
was just yelling
yeah.
tranny?
he was just like, this is not fair, that's a dude.
It's
And
a
it's
fucking
like,
work.
Like it's a competitive
yeah,
sport.
exactly. Like it's not.
It's
a
not fair
shoot.
because the Booker told one of them you're gonna win. That's why it's not fair. Everyone is outnumbered because the one person was told specifically they were winning.
I
Yeah.
heard this professional wrestling isn't on the level. I'm outraged.
Yeah, just imagine that. This is not fair. That one guy is clearly going to win because the boss said so.
Yeah. This is not a fair fight. She was born a dude. She's bigger. Like, come on.
No, it's not a fair fight because one person is told the resolution is them winning.
Yeah, I mean, I get the argument if we're talking like mixed martial arts,
Boxing
but
or MMA or an actual athletic competition.
yeah, that's like going to a Cirque du Soleil show and being like, that's outrageous, unfair competition.
Yeah, why are these acrobats expected to perform the same level as those other acrobats?
Clearly more natural testosterone. Boo! But,
Honestly, I hate it. There's like a clear line where we're treading as wrestling fans where we both have to be like accepting, but also, people want to worry about suspension of disbelief. But we're talking about the same thing where everyone loves the Undertaker. Like, come on, guys, it's just a show. We don't have to worry about whether or not this is a legitimate, fair level. Otherwise, it would be a direct weight class where everyone weighed the exact same thing, and we measured each other's genitals and made sure the exact same genitals are matching up.
that's the most important.
Yeah, as
right
opposed
there.
to junior heavyweight just
Shut
being
up, sorry.
less experienced. Like heavyweight just means you're actually better and you moved up, not that you're like necessarily over a certain weight class.
Yeah,
anymore.
No, that's dumb. That is dumb to me. To me,
I
if
know,
you're
but that's
going
what
to say
I
it's a heavyweight weight class, it's like it should have weight ramifications. Otherwise, don't even say it, because that's what Tony Khan said about AEW. He said we're not going to have weight classes because of how stupid it is, and people perceive a cruiserweight isn't as good as a heavyweight when in theory they should be the best pound for pound in their weight class, and that's it, full stop. So I hate that shit where people are like, oh, it's heavyweight, but it's not really mean anything, and they can weigh whatever. It just means they're better than the other guys. Like, fuck that shit.
Yeah. I mean, like, what if Rey Mysterio never got a world championship because he was small? Like that's not wrestling. That's like UFC. Like this is a work. It's okay.
I do hate with like the idea, because you get it in a lot of wrestling these days, where it's like you have the suspension of disbelief, and in that particular scenario, John, like that's obviously fucked up, because that'd be like the equivalent of someone saying the N-word or whatever, But generally, I feel like the suspension disbelief is what you want. And then sometimes there's some fans that are like, get caught up, oh, calm down, bro, it's just a work or whatever. I've had people say that. Like, I remember Bloodsport, I think the first one.
Earlier on the
Yeah.
show. I said it was a work.
Yeah, you fuck. But I mean, the first Bloodsport that we went to, my buddy Ben and I were like really sort of getting into the suspension of disbelief and like, booing the referee when they made a shitty call and stuff like that. And then this piece of shit behind us was like, guys, you do know it's fake. Well, like, excuse me? Like, this is the reaction you're meant to have during a wrestling show. You're meant to be suspending your
If someone
disbelief.
said that to me at a show, I would like, then what the fuck are you doing here, dude?
Yeah.
Like, if you're here because I like to go watch fake fights, then that's a different thing. I like professional wrestling. What an asshole, dude.
Yeah, I think they were like friends of like some booker or something, and they were like being cool, name dropping and all shit. And I think they may have been somehow friends of is it Aubrey, the girl Hebner, something or other. But they just got offended that I was basically shouting out that their friend was doing a terrible job of refereeing. But still, like, fucking be part of the show, you douchebags. Like, I hate that. Anyone that's like at a wrestling show and takes it back, oh, you know it's fake or whatever. It's like, the fuck are you on? Sorry, rant over.
Yeah, I mean,
rant
She
over.
just got up and left. Wait, what? Wait. Oh, this is fake? Let me get my money back. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm outraged. I'm not at a true sporting encounter. Bullshit. But yes.
yeah, I mean, for all the fans.
So, John, go
feel-
back about your party with all the ladies. Oh, wait, we're not supposed to talk about that party. Continue with your other story.
Oh, that's another phone call for another day.
Carry on, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, but everybody was pretty well behaved. You know, there was one guy that said some like shitty chant for just a second, and like nobody even really heard what it was. But everybody around me started chanting "fuck that guy," and then all the other people that couldn't hear what he said were like, "Who we fucking? Who we fucking?"
Pretty
But
good.
like
It'd be
each of
great if
those
it broke
chants,
down to like people like who needed clarification for what he said, and they start chanting that thing. He said this.
This is how we
Yeah, I mean, but
communicate
even
at wrestling
things
shows,
all-
people.
yeah, I mean, like everybody was pretty well behaved and self-policing and yeah, I mean, it was that same type of feeling of like all in, where everybody was just kind of glad to be there and support it.
Oh,
I
you
don't
know
think the show.
the one bit when I was watching that show, and I was like, I thought these were going to be good, cool fans, but right now they're actually being really fucking trash bag pieces of shit, like ignorant douchebags. The part with the debut and then the segment, like all things said, the actual run-in attack at the end of the match, the way it was done, I thought it was pretty shitty. With the Super Smash Brothers where they made their debut. And then fucking douchebag fans, who are you? Like,
Just because nobody knew who they were, though. Like,
But here's the thing. That did catch me because I am, and all three of us are PWG loyalists. Like, we know about Super Smash Brothers, but they haven't been on the American indie scene in a minute, so I could see how they fall out of
5%.
favor.
but still,
And
it's like
Stu is not wearing
disrespectful.
hang on.
Sorry,
No,
go on.
Stu's not wearing a mask, and Uno is got a whole different look going on. They have all these fucking guys, and then finally, PWG, when Trevor Lee debuted, everyone chanted "Who are you?" to him, and he within the same evening he got over super huge. So by the end of the segment, they weren't chanting "Who are you?" anymore. They're more like, "What the fuck is this?" with the big throne of
it's 'cause the
motherfucking
lights
minions.
kept going out, and like normally when the lights go out, something really, really big is gonna happen. And
Well, we
I
gotta
understand
say,
that.
dude, the fucking
the
look of
future-
the minions throne and fucking Uno with all those fucking dudes. That's how much are those guys getting paid? Like, they can't be getting paid much. So that's got to be like an exorbitant amount. All these guys are constantly touring with Uno.
I think most of them would just be marking out to be allowed backstage at the show. To be fair,
They're just,
Yeah, that's
like,
not-
are you fat? Are you skinny fat and don't have any tattoos? We need you to wear a mask and come backstage. Fucking A.
I mean, I did not recognize them until after, when I just kind of got a screenshot of it and was like, oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I heard that they were bringing in Super Smash Brothers.
yeah.
But like,
did?
I did. Yeah, I mean,
I
I
had
heard.
no idea that they were booked or they were signed.
Yeah, well, I'd heard rumblings that they were going to be signed, but it hadn't been like formally announced. So after I kind of looked and dug through, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. But I had no idea who it was. And when the lights kept going out, man, we were expecting, like God knows what, like something on the level of like Moxley or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
when the lights
thought
go
the
out-
actual way it was done was shitty. I just thought that the reaction of the fans, even if you don't know who it is, I feel like it's a very disrespectful and shitty thing to chant "Who are you?" to a guy, especially when you're meant to be a crowd that's like making the show better, not detracting from it. That's like a chant that I would expect from like piece of shit CZW fans in ECW Arena, you know?
Yeah.
I get
And I
that.
definitely see. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I will tell
Hive
you
mind,
openly,
Chris. Hive mind.
nobody had any idea. Like, I mean, like nobody around me. No, there was not a single person who was like, "Oh, that's Super Smash Bros." Like every single person, even the people that weren't chanting it, were just still like, "Who are these guys?
But at
And
the
why
same
did the
time,
lights
that's
go out?"
great. Think about this. It's
Yeah,
great for them because they were just the gimmick was video games. Now they're like this weird cult with like there's no preconcept. If they literally, let's say those people did forget who the fuck these guys are, all preconceived notions are fucking stripped away, and they can start fresh with this, which
yeah,
honestly I think is one of the cooler looking gimmicks with the fucking all the minions, man. I was just thinking on the indie circuit, getting all those guys to travel with you all the times. All right, guys, yeah, we're all booked on this show. There's 20 of you. We're splitting $40, so I hope you guys understand. No one's getting paid here.
yeah. It's for exposure.
No, I mean, I'm interested to see how it goes going forward, but in the moment,
Yeah.
I was like, that segment was a bit of a dud.
Yeah, it was bummer.
The only other one that I thought on the entire show that I felt like was just a real thumbs down segment where I'm like, it shouldn't be on here, was the librarian skit. What did you guys think about that?
Obnoxious. It made no sense.
I mean, outside of,
Yeah,
discounting
there
the
was
people
no
that
plot.
follow being the elite, who know the librarian gimmick, but even if you know that, just the way it was done, it was, I don't know, just screamed like fake, phony, bad comedy. I don't know, wasn't a fan.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I was surprised that they didn't do anything like coming up just a quick backstage segment.
Coming
It
again?
just a little out of place. It just seemed a little out of place. But I think, and one of the things I had to check my expectations because the whole show I kept finding myself trying to compare it to being at All In, and I was finding myself like until I checked myself like not being satisfied.
Well,
But
so
then
all said
would
and
have
done, this versus All In, I actually thought this was a better show than All In. What do you guys think?
I think All In was a better show to be being live at both. I think All In just had this magic in the air, which Double or Nothing had some. But one of the things that I had to remind myself is All In was supposed to be this one time only contained thing, and it is. It is. It's not an AEW show. This was a show where they are setting things up for the future. They were not trying to pull all their stops out. For example, I was depressed that Jimmy Havoc and Joey Janela were both in the battle royal because I wanted to see them have a hardcore match together or something like that. But I had to remind myself that they have to have continuity and they can't blow their wad all on one show, right? Like they have to build and make you want to watch the next show. And I think that when you remind yourself of that and when you separate the two shows as two entirely different, companies, if you will, I had a very, very good time. All In, I think, was more fun to be at just because it was just wild, man. But this was like a pay-per-view of a new company.
I
All
feel
In
like
was
it's almost like comparing the first one night stand to the second one night
Yes.
stand,
Yes. Right. Yeah, exactly.
where one was
Like-
like a celebration, and I guess this isn't necessarily the nostalgia element, but it's still just a celebration that we're fucking here and this moment and this is everything. Whereas the next one is like more setting things up for the future. You're right.
Right.
I see it like All In was, their opportunity to just, be excess, just go all out and do all kinds of
Yeah.
cool things that don't matter, that don't necessarily need to have a payoff in the long run. And 100%, the new show, the new pay-per-view, I think is a better show. Like
Yeah,
in
I
all,
thought there
like
were
as
better,
far as
like the best match on this show, which to me, Dustin versus Cody. I didn't think there was anything on All In that could touch that match.
Yep.
I agree.
And with what they set up for the future, if you came out of this show knowing that MJF, even if you didn't know him, this guy is clearly incredibly entertaining. It's set to be the future. They made Adam Page clearly it's like Barry Windham style Stone Cold baby face that
Mhm.
you can easily get behind. So I think they set the pace for the future. Plus, for the most part, I think all the matches were fucking great.
Yep. I loved what they did with Jericho, like setting up Jericho and actually having him beat Kenny. I feel like that was the right decision, even though I think a lot of people were maybe a little bit surprised by that.
I think the finish was just sudden, which really shocked people. But that's the new move is meant to be kind of like a sudden game ender.
Yeah.
But
Flash
the fucking
knockout.
the Battle Royal I thought was one of the funnest and most entertaining Battle Royals I ever saw. With the concept alone, plus everyone got highlighted. The only thing I would say kind of fucked up is some of the camera work missed some of the key spots of shit that was going on. But outside of that,
I couldn't miss it, or I couldn't catch all. It was a little slow.
There was so much going on, and if you didn't know who the guys were, them coming out at 5 at a time didn't necessarily let you know who they really were per se.
Yeah, I thought that probably wasn't. I dug the concept when I first heard it, but then actually watching it in practice, I was like, this isn't as good. Because like one of the best things about battle royals like that is when the guy comes out, each guy gets a bit of a spotlight, whereas the guys aren't getting a spotlight because they're just in a group of other dudes.
But I did like it. The guys, what kind of happened from it is like people fighting before they even got to the ring. Like say, a guy got his ass kicked on the outside before he made the ring. People might even forget he's in the match, and he might show up at the end. Like there's so much fun that could actually come from the concept, but they really need it, especially when people are being introduced. Who the fuck are these guys? Like, focus on them. Say, this is this motherfucker. This is this motherfucker. Like, I was okay or you guys were okay because you knew who all these fuckers were. But if you're new to the company, you're not going to know who fucking Sonny Kiss is.
Yeah, if you're like the lapsed fan that they're trying to bring back and you're watching this, I think that Battle Royal probably didn't serve those fans the best. And I was really into
that Sonny Kiss, straight man or not, has one of the greatest butts in the history of the world. Damn it. Even straight boys got to shout.
I don't know. I watched this Battle Royal and I was like, I think there was talking about all of one of their big 4 pay-per-views or whatever. We're always going to have a Battle Royal. I watched this one and I'm like, I don't think you want a Battle Royal like this on every one of your major shows. Maybe once a year, but I'm pretty over these Battle Royals by this point.
That's why I thought it was fun. I'm not a big fan of Battle Royals in general because they're always
going to be shitty.
Same. Yeah. It's like cage matches. Cage matches are pretty much, in this day and age now, we all see them are just plotting, guys pushing each other, grading each other against things. Like, it's just a lot of shoving. Nowadays, the matches are, that's why they're trying to reinvent the fucking Battle Royal with this fucking wild card concept. I don't know. I dug it, but I can see how a new person...
I thought was the perfection of like tweaking the Battle Royal Rumble concept and who actually did that the fucking best. First ever Aztec Warfare match in Lucha Underground. Did you guys see that?
I thought you were going to say the reverse Battle Royal where they threw the guys into the ring.
Fuck. No.
That was TNA, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was a Russo thing.
I didn't catch it.
No, that Lucha Underground did that fucking good. In general, I hate Battle Royals and Royal Rumbles. Like they're a bit passe. But yeah, apart from that, like, what were your any big takeaways from the show? And this was awesome. I mean, I thought the emotion in that Dustin Cody match, the blood, just the overall everything in it was just perfect. I was so happy for Dustin. I think a lot of people were like, what the fuck are they putting him in this main, spotlight position in this first show of this new, young, hip company? But hit it out of the park, man. I thought it was perfect.
Oh.
Still there, Jeremy? Everyone's gone quiet.
I stepped away for a second because you guys were talking. I went to grab a beverage.
Oh, I see. I think John went underwater a little bit.
You guys throw to me.
No.
What are we speaking of? We're speaking of those.
I was just jizzing over that blood fest. But yeah, anything really that.
Let's ask you this, John. On pay-per-view, we could clearly see how badly this gig was, because it started pouring so much so quickly. I actually got nervous for Dustin, and I actually, at points in time, it looked like maybe he himself was concerned. Did that come off in the live experience?
Oh yeah. I mean, people were chanting "Fight Forever," and then people countered that chant with "Don't bleed out," though.
Oh my fucking god!
I don't know if that picked up on camera. It was "Fight
No,
Forever."
I did not hear
Don't
that.
bleed out. Like,
Awesome.
I mean, like, because that's what Dusty
Wow.
did. You know, like Dusty would bleed a lot,
Yeah.
and you know that he was just smiling down, man. Like they,
The only gusher I've seen that bad for what Dustin did was fucking Eddie.
I was thinking the Eddie one, or maybe like Jay Briscoe in that ROH one.
Oh, the Age of the Fall angle.
Oh yeah. But I mean,
Was
it's
that
funny.
John? He dropped out.
I think he's gone back underwater.
I think he might be. Oh, dude! All of a sudden, you were buried underwater, and that's why I started talking. You were like dropped out completely. Are you moving around? Because this is what it sounds like. I was like, all of a sudden.
earlier I was. I've been sitting still.
Yeah. That's what we're hearing.
Is it better?
You're better now, John. Carry on.
I mean, I'm not moving at all.
No, you're moving. I can tell your lips are moving because that's how you speak. Stop moving.
Guys, one of the things I want to touch on with the Battle Royal, because I didn't like the intro concept, but I thought one thing that they did that killed it, Orange Cassidy was in a group of 5, but he walked so slow to the ring that he came out, it was 20 seconds. He was not 20 seconds. He was in a group of 5, but he just was walking from the back so slow that he didn't
that's
even
so
enter
good.
through the.
Yeah, I didn't catch that at all watching on TV, but that is fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, it's because he was just from the locker room in the back the whole time, probably. And when
Walking
you
real
think about
slow
it, like,
through that
I mean,
tunnel.
yeah, I mean, he executes his gimmick extremely well, and I mean, everybody loved it. Like, I mean, everybody that hadn't really watched him, because I think he had his big breakout this Mania year. I feel like he worked a lot, and really impressed a lot of people that had only heard about him, and everybody was impressed with what he was doing. But the people that had watched him before kind of picked up on that, and I thought, like, I think that made the whole entrance thing worth it the way they did it.
Yeah.
So, props to Orange Cassidy. He's great.
So
Also,
good.
I'm a
I found
Tangerine
out
Cassidy guy.
What's that?
Personally, I'm a Tangerine Cassidy guy.
Let's see what you did there. I'm a Mandarin Cassidy guy over here.
No, Joey came out as Tangerine Cassidy. You guys did not see that shit?
Oh, I remember that now. I didn't
Couple
actually
shows
get
back,
the
it
name.
was
Yeah, on the GCW
Joey-
show, right? Oh no, it was the ICW
No,
show.
wait,
I think.
ICW. Yeah.
Yeah, New York one.
Yeah. Joey Janela came out as Tangerine Cassidy and all the gear, and he did the same shtick. It was pretty great. If you didn't like Orange Cassidy's gimmick, you probably hated it.
I loved Orange Cassidy, man. Every single time I've seen him, I mean, he's super impressive.
You would think the gimmick would get a bit one-dimensional over time, but every time he pops me on something that he does, so.
That's great. Yeah.
Hmm.
Like when he won't take his hands out of his pockets for like 3 minutes.
Well, that's where he gets his power,
Yeah. You think it's gonna
Literally,
get
as I'm talking to you guys, all of a sudden, a
Hands
gif
in
of
pockets.
Orange Cassidy versus Jervis popped up on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Look at laying
Rock.
those kicks. He's laying those kicks in, man.
So from the TV presentation, I wanted to put over. I loved the look of it. I heard some people who were like saying the production was shit. And I have no idea what the fuck they were smoking because I thought it looked big time. My favorite part was there were a lot of things that I thought felt like the awesome big time visual vibes of watching WCW. I always thought WCW did a better job of creating that sports-like atmosphere with the way that they filmed and their production than the fucking shitty Kevin Dunn bullshit over at WWE. And I felt like that was definitely a vibe, which apparently they had the actual WCW head of production heading shit up. So I guess that is the reason for that. And the overall commentary, I thought the commentary was fucking incredible. I think a lot of people they weren't sure about JR. Yeah, I heard a lot of people, I don't know about this, using JR for this new hot product. But I thought JR was fucking awesome. I thought Excalibur was the perfect compliment to JR. And you can't say any bad things about Excalibur. He just did so great. And then I actually really liked the third man in the booth, Alex Marvez. He kind of did a bit of a Mike Tenay type of a thing where he'd lay out and then he'd sort of come in with these little quips and these little like anecdotes and stories and like personality insights and things like that, which I thought was awesome. So overall, I think just the overall sports feel of the commentary, the production was amazing. I love that there's no fucking bullshit over the top heel commentator. I think that's a dumb trope in wrestling that we don't need anymore. I loved it. What do you guys think? Or more Jeremy. Jeremy, what did you think? Because I guess John couldn't see or hear this since he was there in person.
I liked Excalibur. I thought the commentary was fucking shit, dude. Honestly, JR was okay for the most part. He did as best he could, but the other guy was god awful, dude. Like he didn't
get like the Mike Tenay type of vibe where he's not necessarily there. And...
I got Scott Hudson kind of vibes. Scott Hudson vibes. It was terrible, dude. Like he would just at one point he interjected. Aja Kong's father left her.
I popped for that. Yeah. I thought that we were watching that. I was watching that with my buddies. I was like, I did not know that.
Down. Why do we need to know that?
I think it adds. It gives you the reason why she's such a badass. You know, it's father issues. That's what's going on here.
Get the fuck out of here! That was so ridiculous. It was so depressing. All of a sudden. Yeah, Aja Kong's dad left her as a young child. That's really affected her to this day. I'm like, what the hell? Why are you bringing the group down, bro?
That is where we differ. I want more of that in my wrestling. I want weird personality insights.
No, I don't mind positive personality traits with like, this is Paulie whatever. His dad died from a terrible car accident when he was very young. It's like, what? We don't need that kind of babyface inspiration.
Hey, if we only give, like, positive affirmation shit, positive affirmation shit with people who are just, like, good, well-rounded people do not end up in wrestling, sir. You have to be some sort of fucked up to be in wrestling, so that's what we need.
Aja Kong sure does like fun.
Do you know Aja Kong actually graduated from college?
I know, the guy like was silent forever. All of a sudden, he has to bring down the whole group. No. There was a couple times like one of the best was he randomly brought up some football reference to JR, and then both Excalibur and JR no sold. They didn't respond at all. It was great.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah, I heard it.
You're underwater again,
You're underwater.
John. Get out of that water.
Yeah. Primary. I heard he did more of the work.
Yes. At one point during it, they were going to throw to the next segment, and JR was clearly lost looking at the paper. Excalibur on camera audibly and visually started laughing at JR. It was great.
They had like a really cool chemistry, I thought. Like they had like a bit of a
toward the end, like the second half of the show for sure.
And any time you got a crew like this working together for the first time, there's going to be some bumps and shit. But overall, I thought it was great, and I'm very excited for that team going forward. I wouldn't change a bit of it. And I think some of those things you said about Marvez, I think he'll get better because this is his first time actually doing commentary other than just doing prep work for this in the past. So I think give him a bit of a break. For a first time, I think he did pretty well.
He'll go down as the hog of AEW.
Are you putting down the hog of ROH, sir?
Yes, sir, indeed.
No way! Greatest commentator of all time. Slap that porpoise.
Like they are right. Like we need a guy who likes football and is Southern like Jim Ross. Let's get Hog.
Oh, I loved Mike Hodgwood. I thought he was fantastic. He died recently, sir. Come on, let's.
I'm not trying to. He was a fine enough man. Oh, man, I can't stand it.
How do you get a better catchphrase than "slap the porpoise"? This one's over. Come on.
Now I heard JR redeemed himself with the call of Moxley coming.
Oh yeah, I got chills on that, bro. Like that,
That
everything
was
about it.
cool.
Here
The
comes
only problem
Moxley
they
with
made
a
is
sparkle
it
in
felt
his
like
eye.
so WWE. It felt like a WWE moment because it was Dean Ambrose with Jim Ross calling it. Like
Well, it felt like a
it
good,
hard.
good WWE moment. Like you wouldn't get that
Oh,
WWE
100%.
moment in the last like decade.
Fuck no.
Yeah, but that's a different story, I guess. But yeah, overall, I thought fucking incredible.
Well, guys, it was lit when Moxley showed up, and he came down through the crowd, a la Shield.
Yeah,
He went right by Josh.
Yeah, they showed that on the latest episode of Being the Elite, like him sort of standing at the side door waiting for his spot through the Jericho promo, and then like sort of getting ramped up, and then like actually hitting the door and going out. It was actually a really cool visual to see the other side of it.
Was he in a suite or something?
No, he's just sort of waiting in the the hallway bit where they open up the stairs and then he goes open the door to the stairs and then he goes into the arena.
Same corridor that we would go through, but like since everyone's in the arena, no one's hanging out.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, really cool.
Awesome.
I thought it was so well done.
We might have to make this at a double and nothing only show because we're getting long, and I gotta hit the bed fucking soon.
Hit that bed. So I thought that was awesome. I did want to address the Twitter things of recently that sort of came out of this show. It was a weird fucking thing where everyone being so excited for AEW and like, fuck this fucking, WWE shit that we've had to put up with for so long. This is an alternative. This is fucking awesome. Fucking bravo. On the bandwagon, which is to me great. That's fucking what you want out of this. And then we have all of these like lame wads, these fucking nerds saying, "Oh, boo, no, support all wrestling." Real wrestling fan would still support WWE. They're going to support AEW. Everyone can like all sorts of wrestling. It's fucking PC fucking bullshit. Like, I got so cross. I got so cross on that bullshit. All these people said, those type of fans, those type of fans that are going to throw WWE under the bus. Like, fuck you, like support all wrestling? No, fuck that. Support good wrestling. Like, if you've got this trash bag fucking promotion that, like, doesn't even respect its own fans, people should be able to be excited about the alternative. And, these people, do they not remember the 90s? Like, the fucking best part about being a wrestling fan in the 90s was being all behind your favorite company. Like for me, it was ECW. Like, I was like, fuck yeah, ECW, fuck these other pieces of shit, ECW all the way. Like, that was one of the most fun parts about being a wrestling fan. And now people are trying to paint that approach, the turf war side of wrestling, of being a wrestling fan, make that a bad thing. Like, I was like fucking bewildered by this bullshit. What did you guys think?
Okay. Dude, I agree and disagree. I agree that you should be all about the company that you're dedicated to. There's no reason why somebody shouldn't say, my favorite wrestling product is such and such, and be all about that. But also at the same time, as a wrestling fan, we should be encouraging and be happy that all these companies do well. The only situation here is, unfortunately, one of the companies in this scenario is the evil corporation WWE. So, like, as much as you want to be like all inclusive and supportive, we're talking about the company that may or may not try to get Ashley Massaro to cover up her rape. We're talking about
the company that basically supported Donald Trump's presidential campaign and put those dollars in his pocket.
The same company that won't let guys get out of their contract because maybe they were injured for a couple months. We're talking about the same company. We could go on for days.
The fucking Saudi Arabia shit. Ugh.
Yeah. It's hard to pay favoritism and try to say, let's be equal for everybody when one of them is the WWE. But I am all about, like, man, if you like wrestling, you should not be like, hey, I like AEW, so fuck WWE. You can say fuck WWE for all those other reasons I just mentioned. But there's no reason to pit wrestling versus wrestling just for the sake of doing so.
I mean, the only part that I'll sort of give it a little bit into, I hate the idea of, like, it's better for everyone, the more wrestlers that are employed around the world, like, fucking good, no one should ever be like, oh, I fucking hate that product, I hope they go out of business. That's like fucking not constructive at all.
Evil.
But at the same time, evil motherfuckers. And the whole time I was reading this, I was also reading all of the Ashley Massaro stuff, and it was like, people are being like, come on, give WWE a chance, while you're reading about them, like, fucking covering up her gang rape and sodomization.
I feel
like...
almost targeted, because I definitely have, like, said this shit. Hey, co-host, without mentioning your name, I'm going to bring this up. No.
No,
Yeah.
it almost just felt like a bit of a rift, with different side of
Yeah.
it on Twitter, and those things are interesting because like you can see either point, but you never really get to have a dialogue with them because it's just going to turn into a fucking bullshit Twitter argument, which is not conducive to anything. So I think it's cool to be able to have people on different sides of that be able to sort of talk a little bit about it on a podcast like this.
Yeah, we all have to agree that wrestling is great and that wrestling should thrive, but also WWE is pretty shitty as far as a company and a product a lot of the time. But hey, no one should be forced to like something they don't like. So I agree with that 100%.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I support WWE in that they should try to like improve their product through competition or just being better people. If you saw the Last Week Tonight episode, like. I support competition, but that doesn't mean that I want to watch it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where people should draw like you don't necessarily have to actively work against the WWE or voice how they should go on that business. You can support all wrestling by simply like saying, "Hey, this is the thing I like." No need to detract from the other thing. But yeah, it's clearly true that the WWE is evil. I love this evil company, unfortunately, but it's evil.
I love my memories of it before I sort of worked out exactly what it was. So I like that sort of childhood nostalgia of it, but I've completely separated myself from having any want to support them in any way into the future. But I mean, that's just me. I mean, what do you guys think going?
You guys watched that Last Week Tonight?
Sorry?
Did you guys watch
the Jon
that
Stewart
last
one?
Tonight?
You guys are talking over each other right
We
now.
are.
It's hard for anybody to understand. I think what John was asking is John is saying, "Hey, did you watch that Last Week Tonight
I did.
thing?" And I'm like,
I
"Yeah,
did, John. I thought it was great.
Yeah, that's what I. Sorry, I have the phone away from my face so that you can hear me. But
Well, you
the
shouldn't,
consequences
because we need you to talk into the phone. Put it by your face, John. What are you doing?
when I do that, you say I'm swimming underwater or bobbing for apples or some shit.
I think you're gonna need to invest in a microphone and a headset.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Is that what you're rocking?
Yeah, I got the Yeti blue microphone. It's pretty dope.
I got a headset.
Dude, I want to carry on longer, but if I don't get to bed soon, I will be hating life tomorrow. And John is, I believe, 2 hours ahead of me, so he will be as well.
Yeah.
Christopher, let's do some plugs.
Yeah. I did want to ask, last thing on this show, though, it was a bit of a point where some people thought it was bad, some people thought it was great. The Breaking the Throne. Where do we sit on that one?
Loved it. I thought it was. I thought they had been very professional up to that point with not directly attacking WWE, and that was definitely a shots fired type of thing.
Oh, I just like Cody hated chairs.
I mean, at the same point, I kind of liked it though. I was like, "Ooh, wow, shit's getting dark." Like let's see what happens.
Here's the thing: I personally can agree that objectively it was corny as fuck. But at the same time, so was WWE showing up to WCW in a little Jeep tank with DX attacking. Like, we're talking about wrestling where men fight in their underpants. Silly shit happens.
Yeah,
that was kind of silly, but it was Cody making his statement. Like, I think it makes sense for what AEW was doing to have some sort of message like that. Like,
you need that to me.
Yeah,
it's important.
It's a fucking all the arms. It's like, this is us versus them, which company-wise is fine. Fan base, but you could do that too if you want to. I don't think it's necessarily needed, but company-wise, yeah, they need to make it us or them. Like, they definitely need to.
Yeah.
I stated on Twitter that I don't think the WWE was going to respond immediately, and they clearly didn't. Like, they ended the show main evented by Baron Corbin. Like, nothing was any different. There was more silliness.
If anything, it was one of the worst shows they ever presented, which was kind of funny.
Yep.
But they did name drop AEW.
That I honestly felt like it was them saying, "Oh, we're pushing this Sammy gimmick where Sammy will say anything," and it almost made it like, "Look at us do some crazy shit by Sammy saying AEW," which took the balls and all the legs out.
And they've already edited it out.
That I also felt like it was again more them saying, "Oh, let's exercise this whole concept that Sami Zayn's doing this gimmick where he'll say anything," and them just playing into our paranoia.
People do forget when they think that AEW was being tawdry and why would they throw stones? It was Triple H that started this with that fucking bullshit at the Hall of Fame. Like, let's not forget about that.
Yeah.
I thought the moment was great. I think it was like all you have to look at is did it get a pop in the building, and people went fucking crazy when he did that. And I think that's it at the end of the day.
Talk about it in retrospect.
Yeah. And like to me, one of the best parts about WCW and ECW was the fact that they created a divide, and they did, bury the WWE and like that's what you want. You want to create that rah fucking let's get behind this new thing. So yeah, I think as much as people are complaining, saying unprofessional, blah blah blah, no, I thought it was perfect.
The other gripe I didn't like is them people bitching about AEW or Cody in the angle claiming that he was out to kill the Attitude Era, but has Gold Dust on the show and Tommy Dreamer on the show. It's like, dude, let's not pretend this isn't what it is. Tommy is clearly a nostalgia pop. We got fucking Glaciers. Like, these are staples of wrestling. That's not going back to the Attitude Era. That's everyone's brought some nostalgia act to pop everybody. Like, it's nothing out of the ordinary.
And like the Attitude Era thing was mainly just like a part of Cody's promo building the feud with Dustin. So yeah,
people, get over yourselves, Lordy B.
Mm-hmm.
John,
Indeed.
How did you enjoy your weekend in total? That's what I really want to know.
Yeah.
When you left the weekend, you had a good time in more ways than one. Things that won't be mentioned on the show. But what was your when you left the weekend? How did you feel? Did you sometimes you'll go home, you're like, man, I shouldn't have spent all that money. But was this one worth it?
Yeah, it was absolutely worth it. It was great until I had to check out of my hotel, but I had about 3 hours to kill before I had to go to the airport. And for a while, and it was like I lost money, and then I made it up, and then I got $50 up, and then in the last 15 minutes, I lost like $200. But I also found $100 on the ground at a CVS. So
so you only left 100 down.
Yeah, and maybe not even that. I had a good time, man. I went to a topless pool party at the most famous strip club in Las Vegas.
Ooh,
where it was like a day party. They're big on pool parties there, and all the girls were just like hanging out in the pool and playing like pool volleyball with everybody, but they were all topless, so that was cool. And then there was a girl that I spent some money on there at the club that she was a porn star that I recognized from my younger days of maybe 4 years ago.
So much younger.
And I told her too, I was like, I feel like you look familiar. And she's like, oh, I just moved to Vegas. It's my first day working here. And I'm like, well, that's what they all say. She's like, no, literally, I just moved here from Los Angeles. I'm like, well, I recognize you from somewhere. And she's like,
porn stars are like, you recognize me from when you had your dick in your hand.
That's what she said. And
that's when I saw Remy LaCroix at PWG. Like, there was no way I was walking over to like, are you Remy LaCroix? Like, clearly it's like, hey, I've jerked off to you. Can you confirm that you're that person that for some reason when your clothes are on, I still remember what you look like?
Oh, my friend is a big fan.
Yeah. All right, let's plug away. I'm going to pass out.
All right, plugs.
John, what you got plugging? People need to follow John Kraft. People, what's going on with you?
jcraft901 on Twitter and jc901303 on the Insta. It's pretty much all I do.
Now you got to promote something cool that you like outside of wrestling that's random, something you've been enjoying lately, maybe a food, a product, a television show. Give it to us.
Yeah, so I just moved on the other side of town next to my favorite restaurant. I found it because I said, who has the best Thai restaurant in Denver? It's called US Thai. They have 5 levels of heat, and it starts with mild, then it goes to mild plus. If you try to order medium from them, they'll ask you if you've ever had mild plus there before. And if you say no, they will not let you order medium.
That's awesome.
And every so often, I will order medium, and I regret it. I have to, heat it up a couple days later after it's cooled down. So I've been eating a lot of pad thai lately. Shout out to them. They literally are so busy that you will call the place to go order, and it'll ring for 3 minutes, and it'll go to a voicemail saying, we're not taking to-go orders right now.
That's awesome.
Wow.
5
Dang.
Levels of Heat is an amazing tag team name, by the way. There's a local tag team up here that's called 4 Minutes of Heat. But five Levels of Heat would be a great tag team name.
4 minutes of heat's what my ex-girlfriend used to call me.
Heyo!
Hey! That was before the Mexican Viagra, I believe. Call back.
If you,
Nah,
now it's 4 hours
8
of
minutes.
heat and going to the doctor because the thing is supposed to go down by.
That's all I got. What do you guys got?
All right. Well, I am James Vanderbeek on Facebook, Twitter. Oh, actually, the Facebook I'm not using so much. Let's just do Twitter and Instagram. James Vanderbeek, Jaims Vanderbeek. If you need a t-shirt design or anything, let me know. And for cool shit. Okay, if you have not, I'm sure I think it kind of went viral, so I'm not blowing anybody's lids off right here, but the Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco special, Bash Brothers, by Lonely Island on Netflix. You have to watch it. It's like a movie with a bunch of music videos linked together. They called it a visual poem, but it's about the famous duo of Jose Canseco and Mike McGuire playing baseball for the Athletics in the 80s, and it's amazing.
I've heard good
Done
things
by
about
the
that. I need to get on that.
Get on it.
All right, and from me, at Chris Things on Twitter and Instagram, mostly Instagram, all of the rad wrestling art stuff. Check it out, buy some prints, support me. Let me know if you want a custom commission of some kind. That can happen too. All of those things at Chris Things. My personal recommendation for the week. The other week I went to a music concert. In fact, at a couple of suburbs over. It was a small little kind of place, but it was a dude called Cedric Burnside. And he is a fucking amazing blues musician from over your way, that side of the pond. And he fucking blew me away, man. Like, between his acoustic stuff and then, like, his actual, like, electric plugged-in stuff. Like, it got, like, kind of vibes of... like just so much amazing like retro soul kind of music, and I love all of that shit. Man, yeah, just blew my mind. Cedric Burnside, check him out, especially if he's coming to a town near you. Would recommend.
Yep. Now, also, time to plug the Social Suplex, but not the show we were previously promoting that is no longer on the network, right, Chris?
Thank you for holding me accountable, sir.
Yes, sir.
Apparently for the last like couple, I don't know, we're talking weeks or months here, but I've been plugging shows that are not even part of this network anymore.
I'm
So
actually on competitive networks.
Yeah.
We're putting over other shows, other podcast networks.
so I will no longer be plugging Wilfred Watches and Omega Luke. Last one. You guys are out. Get out of here.
Regarding our previous promotions, we were bullshitting before. I don't know why we were selling you a false set of goods. They suck.
I have deleted them from my line of plugged notes, so I will only plug the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Within that, One Nation Radio, Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, the All Elite Show, Keeping It Strong Style, and of course, Grown Men Watch This Shit. You can find all of that at socialsuplex.com and follow us at Grown Men Pod on the Twitter. Boom!
Thanks for joining us, Jonathan.
Thanks for having me, guys. Always love to be here.
Thanks, John. We love
Talk to
you.
next time I travel. Love you too,
Mwah.
guys.
Get swifty, ladies and germs.
Bye.
Well, a bird is a word, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a word, well, a bird, bird. The bird's a word, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a word, well, a bird, bird. The bird's a word, well, don't you know? That's a bird, well, everybody knows that the bird is a word, well, a bird.